Keanu Reeves was never meant to be a symbol of success. Even today, when people see him on screen, there is something quiet in his eyes. Not weakness, experience, as if he has lived several lives already. To understand why Keanu is so humble, kind, and different from other stars, you have to start far away from fame, money, and Hollywood lights. He was born in 1964 in Beirut, a city that would later be torn apart by war. His family was unstable from the beginning. His father disappeared from his life when Keanu was very young. Not just emotionally, physically. One day, he was simply gone. Years later, Keanu would learn that his father struggled with drugs and ended up in prison. His mother moved constantly, chasing work and survival. London, New York, Toronto, new schools, new faces, no roots. Keanu never felt like he belonged anywhere. On top of that, he had dyslexia. Reading was hard. Learning was slow. Teachers thought he wasn't smart. Other kids thought he was strange. He learned early how to be alone. The only places where Keanu felt alive were hockey rinks and small theater stages. He dreamed of becoming a professional hockey player. He even earned the nickname The Wall because of his skills as a goalie. But a serious injury ended that dream. Just like that, another future disappeared. Acting became his last door. At 17, Keanu dropped out of school and decided to try Hollywood. No safety net, no famous last name, no guarantees. He worked odd jobs, slept on friends' couches, and went to auditions where he was told again and again that he didn't fit the mold. Too quiet, too serious, too different. Small roles slowly turned into bigger ones. Then came real attention. Films like Point Break made him visible. And then The Matrix changed everything. Overnight, Keanu Reeves became one of the biggest stars on the planet. Fame arrived, money followed, but happiness didn't. While the world celebrated his success, his personal life collapsed. In 1999, his girlfriend Jennifer Syme gave birth to their daughter stillborn. The loss destroyed them. Their relationship fell apart, even though the love never fully disappeared. Grief quietly moved into Keanu's life and stayed. 2 years later, tragedy returned. Jennifer Syme died in a car accident. Just like that, Keanu lost both his child and the woman he loved most. No interviews, no dramatic statements. He didn't use his pain for attention. He simply withdrew. People began noticing him alone, sitting on benches, riding the subway, staring into nothing. The internet later turned those moments into jokes and memes. But what people were really seeing was depression. Real, silent depression. Keanu didn't numb it with chaos. He didn't escape into excess. He allowed himself to feel it. And that may be why it never destroyed him completely. Money never changed him. During The Matrix, Keanu quietly gave away a huge portion of his salary to the visual effects team because he believed they were the reason the film succeeded. He funded cancer research for his sister, who was battling leukemia, without attaching his name to it. Years passed. His career slowed. Hollywood moved on, as it always does. But Keanu never begged for relevance. Then came John Wick, a simple story, a quiet man, a character driven by loss. The role worked because Keanu wasn't pretending. He understood that kind of pain. The comeback wasn't loud. It was respectful. Audiences felt it. They didn't see a superhero. They saw a man who had been broken and kept moving anyway. Off screen, Keanu remained the same, polite, grateful, almost uncomfortable with praise. When asked why he's so kind, so grounded, he once said something simple: because life can take everything from you at any moment. He doesn't chase happiness. He respects peace. He understands loss. And maybe that's why people trust him. Keanu Reeves isn't admired because he is perfect. He's admired because he is real. He shows that you can suffer deeply and still choose decency. That success doesn't have to turn you cold. And that kindness, in a world like this, is an act of quiet strength. Keanu never talks about his pain unless he has to. When asked about death, he once paused and said, "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." That answer went viral because it felt honest. Not poetic, not dramatic, just real. It revealed how deeply loss shaped the way he sees the world, not as something to conquer, but something to move through quietly. Unlike many stars, Keanu never surrounded himself with luxury. He rides motorcycles, walks alone, eats simple food. He listens more than he speaks. People who meet him often say the same thing. He makes them feel seen, not impressed, not intimidated, just human. That simplicity isn't an image. It's a defense mechanism built over years of loss. He avoids Hollywood parties. He avoids talking about money. Fame to him is temporary. He has seen how quickly life takes things away. That's why he shares. Crew members, stunt teams, assistants, many have quietly received life-changing gifts from him, without contracts or cameras. There were moments when he almost disappeared from the industry entirely. Scripts stopped coming. Trends changed. Younger faces replaced him. But Keanu never panicked. He didn't try to reinvent himself loudly. He waited. He trusted timing. And when the right story appeared, he stepped into it without ego. The success of John Wick wasn't just financial. It redefined him. Not as a blockbuster star, but as a symbol of endurance. A man who loses everything and still refuses to become cruel. That theme followed him not because he chose it, but because it reflected his life. Keanu once said that grief changes shape, but it never disappears. You don't get over it. You carry it differently. That belief is visible in the way he acts, moves, and speaks. His performances feel heavy because they are weighted with memory. Despite everything, he never became bitter. That may be the most unusual part of his story. Pain usually hardens people. It makes them defensive, sharp, distant. Keanu went the opposite direction. He became softer, more patient, more generous. He doesn't preach. He doesn't teach lessons. He simply lives in a way that quietly challenges others. In a world obsessed with attention, he chooses absence. In a culture driven by ego, he chooses humility. And that contrast makes him stand out more than any headline ever could. When fans call him the nicest guy in Hollywood, he seems uncomfortable. Because kindness to him isn't an achievement. It's survival. It's the choice he made after realizing how fragile everything is. Fame didn't teach him that. Loss did. Keanu Reeves' journey isn't about success. It's about resilience without bitterness. About pain without cruelty. About surviving the worst chapters of life and still treating strangers gently. That's why his story stays with people long after the screen fades to black. Keanu never built his identity around being a star. When the cameras turn off, he becomes almost invisible. No entourage, no bodyguards, creating distance. He blends into the world like someone who doesn't want to be noticed. Not because he is afraid, but because attention was never what he was chasing. There were long periods when he lived almost like a ghost in Hollywood, present but not participating. While others chased relevance, Keanu chased balance. He read philosophy. He spent time alone. He rode motorcycles across long empty roads, not to escape life, but to feel grounded in it. People close to him say Keanu feels emotions deeply, but expresses them carefully. He learned early that words don't fix loss. Silence doesn't either. Time helps, but only if you allow yourself to stay open instead of shutting down. That openness is rare, especially after trauma. He never remarried quickly, never rushed to replace what he lost. Love, to him, was not disposable. It was something sacred, and losing it once changed how carefully he treated every connection afterward. Friends, colleagues, even strangers. When asked about happiness, Keanu doesn't describe joy. He describes peace, small moments, a good conversation, a quiet morning, a simple meal. For someone who has seen extremes, happiness isn't loud. It's stable. It's gentle. His generosity often surprises people because it comes without warning. A crew member suddenly finds their mortgage paid. A stunt performer receives a motorcycle. No announcement, no gratitude expected. Just help, quietly delivered. Almost like Keanu is trying to balance something only he can see. He understands something many never do. Money doesn't heal grief. It doesn't replace people. It doesn't erase memory. So he treats it as a tool, not a trophy. Something to use, not something to worship. Keanu also knows what it feels like to be overlooked, to be underestimated, to be misunderstood. That memory never left him. It's why he treats everyone with the same respect, from executives to interns. He remembers what it was like to feel small. There's a quiet discipline in how he lives. No excess, no dramatic self-destruction, no public breakdowns. He chose endurance instead. And endurance, unlike fame, doesn't make noise. As years passed, people began to notice something unusual. Keanu Reeves didn't age like other celebrities. Not physically, but emotionally. He seemed calmer, softer, more accepting, as if pain had carved space inside him rather than closing him off. He once said that grief is like a wave. Sometimes it's far away, sometimes it crashes without warning, but you learn to stay standing. That sentence explains his entire life more than any interview ever could. Keanu never presents himself as a survivor, but that's exactly what he is. Not in a dramatic way, not as a hero, just someone who kept moving forward when stopping would have been easier. His strength was never loud, it was patient. Hollywood rewards confidence, ego, and self-promotion. Keanu rejected all three. For a long time, that worked against him. People underestimated him. Some even dismissed him. But time has a strange way of revealing what really matters. When younger actors ask him for advice, he rarely talks about fame or success. He talks about listening, about staying curious, about not letting pain turn into anger. Because anger feels powerful, but it consumes everything around it. Keanu chose something harder. He chose compassion, not because it was easy, but because bitterness would have destroyed what little peace he had left. Kindness became his way of surviving the world. There is a reason his fans feel protective of him. They don't just admire his work, they recognize something familiar in him, the quiet strength of someone who has been through more than he shows. As his career stabilized again, Keanu didn't change course. He didn't rewrite his personality for popularity. He simply continued being himself. The world caught up to him, not the other way around. In interviews, he often pauses before answering. Those pauses are important. They show a man who thinks before he speaks. A man who understands that words have weight, especially when spoken by someone people listen to. Keanu Reeves never tried to be inspirational. That's why he became exactly that. His life doesn't promise happiness. It promises honesty. And for many people, honesty feels more comforting than motivation ever could. He reminds us that success doesn't have to change who you are, that tragedy doesn't give you permission to hurt others, and that being gentle in a hard world is not weakness, it's courage. Maybe that's why his story stays with us. Not because of the films, not because of the money, but because he proves that it's possible to lose almost everything and still remain human. Keanu Reeves didn't win against life. He learned how to live with it, and in doing so, he became something far more rare than a star. He became someone people trust. There is something rare about a person who has every reason to be angry with the world and chooses not to be. Keanu doesn't deny pain. He doesn't pretend it made him stronger. He accepts that it hurt him, and then he chooses not to pass that pain forward. He once said that when you truly understand how fragile life is, you stop rushing to prove yourself. You stop competing. You stop needing to be right. What remains is a quieter goal: to leave people better than you found them. That philosophy shapes everything he does. The way he works, the way he treats strangers, the way he disappears between films. For Keanu, life is not a performance. It's something private, something to be respected. In a culture obsessed with winning, Keanu represents something else entirely. He represents endurance, the kind that doesn't look impressive from the outside, but holds everything together on the inside. People often ask why bad things happen to him. Why so much loss? Why so much loneliness? Keanu never answers that question directly. Maybe because he knows there is no answer that would make it easier. Instead, he lives as proof that suffering doesn't have to define the end of your story. It can become the background, never gone, but no longer in control. His success feels different because it arrived without arrogance, without revenge, without the need to show the world that he won. He didn't win. He endured, and endurance lasts longer than victory. Keanu Reeves is not admired because he escaped pain. He's admired because he learned how to coexist with it without losing empathy, humility, or grace. That is why his story feels timeless. It doesn't belong to Hollywood. It belongs to anyone who has lost something and kept going anyway. And maybe that's the quiet truth behind his success. Not talent, not luck, not fame, but the choice made again and again to remain kind in a world that didn't give him many reasons to be. As the years go on, Keanu becomes less of an actor in the public eye and more of a symbol, not of fame but of restraint. In a world where everyone shares everything, he keeps most of his life untouched by noise. That silence speaks louder than any interview. He never built a narrative around his suffering. No books, no dramatic confessions, no monetized pain. He understands that some experiences lose their meaning when they are turned into content, so he protects them. People who work with him often describe the same moment: Keanu listening, fully present, not checking his phone, not waiting to speak, just listening. That may sound small, but in modern life, it's almost radical. There's a reason younger generations rediscovered him years later, not because of nostalgia, but because authenticity became rare. And Keanu never had to reinvent himself to fit the moment. He simply waited until the world needed someone like him again. He doesn't pretend to have answers. When asked about meaning, he doesn't quote philosophy. He talks about kindness, about connection, about showing up. Simple ideas, but the hardest ones to live by consistently. Keanu Reeves' life teaches something uncomfortable: that strength doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it looks like gentleness. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like surviving quietly. His journey isn't a rise. It's a series of returns to himself, to simplicity, to humanity. Fame came and went in waves. Loss stayed. And still, he chose decency. That choice is what separates him. Not talent, not luck, but intention. The daily decision not to become hardened by what life took from him. In the end, Keanu Reeves doesn't inspire people to chase dreams. He inspires them to treat others better while doing so. And that may be the most lasting form of influence there is. Because when the noise fades, when the cameras leave, when success no longer matters, what remains is who you were to other people. And by that measure, Keanu Reeves has already succeeded.